Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, the final hump in the gump. Also, Governor Ivey appoints a Hubbard man. And the people of Alabama have a message for Luther Strange.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
Liar, liar, dumpster fire. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V team. Welcome all.
How's everybody?
Good. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's
Happy
Day.
Mother's Day, Mama.
Happy
And to my actual mother, Happy Mother's Day.
Was your mother
And my other daughters,
Well,
Chandler?
she could be
Anyway.
and Alicia.
from time to time.
Anyway, Beauty and the Beast here today, Jack.
Well, Jack stole my seat. We usually try to mix and match.
You're supposed to be co-host, right?
I am the co-host, that's right. I told you my mom gets confused whenever I switch seats because she
But
thinks
you're
I'm
on
the
the
co-host.
left, politically, and to the viewers, you're on the left. It's kind of how it should be.
Well, there you go. Hey, liar, liar, pants on fire. I mean, Jack, in the history of lies in advertising, Luther Strange's latest ad is the biggest, boldest lie or group of lies I've ever heard.
It is the worst.
God.
I watched that ad 3 times, and I couldn't find any truth in it. After
Just the name.
I mean, good grief. Taking credit for the Mike Hubbard debacle, or the taking down of Mike when he recused, and then bragging about Bentley after he took a job from him. I mean,
And after he said there was no investigation.
It is
Yeah, he never
nothing
said there was
short
no
of
investigation.
outrageous.
Yeah. He never said there was an
Yeah,
investigation.
yeah. Well,
He strongly implied there was an investigation, though, and then tried to shut the whole thing down so that he could get this appointment. I mean, he should be hanging up on the indictments with all these people, not...
You know, most people thought it was an SNL spoof when they first started watching it. They really did.
well, because it had the fake newspapers, Valley Times. Where's the Valley
It's
Times?
in Valley. It's a real newspaper.
They had those headlines?
I don't know. I mean, I don't...
All on the same front page?
But I used to subscribe to the Valley Times,
Okay.
actually. Yeah.
I like the mud on the car that was strategically put there.
That truck had never seen a speck of mud in its life. Somebody spitballed that mud out.
Maybe that's from like when they were in the black Corvette zipping out through the grass in Lee County.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
that's
probably
when the mud.
disputed on that.
The,
Yeah.
the-
mud got
the
on the
thing
truck.
is on Luther, this is the most disingenuous ad. He did not have a thing to do with Mike Hubbard case. He had to step aside because he took money from Mike and spent money with Mike. And then in the case with Robert Bentley, I mean, he misled the press. He misled folks. And then he went over there and begged for a job. And now he thinks the people of Alabama are stupid, too?
That's what it seems like.
People in Alabama have a very long memory.
Well, how about that part of the resume that was missing, that prior to being the Attorney General, that he was a Washington lobbyist?
Yeah, he's up there to drain the swamp while his butt's circling the little thing.
Circling the drain.
Drain, yeah. Luther Strange, okay. I want to look at some of the other people that are in the race. We have Chief Justice Roy Moore, now Judge Moore, former Chief Justice Moore. He couldn't get a D.C. firm. They fired him, Beth, after the threats from the RNC, or the NRNCWSYZ.
MOUSC.
Right, and I think, right now, the more I've thought about this, I think the national Republicans are scared to death of Roy Moore because they know the DNC will use him and the stuff he says in some of these moderate races where they need to hold seats in 2018. So I think they want to keep Luther so they can keep him on message. They know Roy Moore. there's no messaging Roy Moore. He's going to get up there and he's going to do what he wants to do. And I think they're scared for states like Massachusetts.
I think so too. I mean, but Roy Moore is going to tell the truth. And if Mitch McConnell told Governor Bentley, then Governor Bentley, that he wanted a moderate type, he didn't want somebody with the Freedom Caucus, Jack. Moore's way beyond the Freedom Caucus.
Oh, he's way beyond the Freedom Caucus. Good grief.
Freedom Caucus looks like they're willing to compromise.
Del Marsh is looking more and more like somebody that we ought to send up there. I'm not advocating that, but I'm not a Roy Moore person at all, and I think Luther has proved he's totally dishonest.
Yeah.
Well, just with them coming down here and spending the $2.6 million this week in the ad buys for Luther, I mean, they're scared of Roy Moore.
Yeah, I mean, the polling shows Roy will kick the butt, of Luther Strange, and that's a pretty high butt.
Well, of course, you have Randy Brinson, the doctor in Montgomery, Ed Henry. I don't know about Perry Hooper Jr., but they're Ed Henry. Did I say Ed Henry? I'm
you did.
Getting senile, but it's a crowded field.
I don't see Ed Henry getting out of single digits, to be honest, though.
Well,
The Democrat Doug Jones came in this week.
Doug Jones.
I'm excited about that.
Wednesday night.
Former attorney, U.S. attorney,
Yes,
prosecutor.
he prosecuted the 16th Street Baptist Church bombers.
Right.
Yes, he did.
He prosecuted the abortion clinic bombers, and I believe also the 1996 Olympic bombers.
And
So
who's
he's got
this
a
Robert
pretty
Kennedy
that.
guy y'all have come up
Dude,
with?
I have no idea. This guy, nobody knows who he is, what he's coming from, and I wish our party chair would quit letting people just come in and sign papers that we don't know who they are. I personally think maybe this is somebody who's been paid to get on the ballot, because Democrats do have a real shot at picking this seat up, or at least competing with somebody like Roy Moore. And I think he's there to split some votes off and make it difficult.
Well, we got about 20 seconds left, but Doug Jones is a good entry for the Democrats. I think right now, as it stacks up, it's Moore's race to lose. Anybody?
I think so.
Wait,
I think so.
where it's stacked up right now.
I'm just not convinced that he's going to get above 20-something points.
Well, he may not. Who knows? But I would never count Roy Moore
I
out.
wouldn't count him out.
Yeah.
No.
All right, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and analysis.
Happy Mother's Day, Susan. I just want to tell you thank you so much for all you do for me and everyone on the V-Team family. We really are a family, and it's thanks to you. Love you.
Happy Mother's Day, Susan Britt. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I love you.
Happy Mother's Day to my second mom. I hope you have a great day.
Happy Mother's Day, Susan. Thank you for all that you do for us and for always treating us like family. Love, your newest daughter.
Happy Mother's Day. I know I'm the newest adopted son, and that sucks for the rest of them because I'm already the favorite, which we won't tell Chip. That's fine. It's okay. We'll both know it. We'll keep it a secret. Hope you have a great one.
Dream of once in a lullaby.
Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. Beth, this entire thing that's playing out with Governor Ivey is something out of science fiction in my world. I mean, you might as well call it the third term of the Bob Riley administration. I mean, really.
It really is, and I think that's the part of this that has been lost, is that we can slay the Mike Hubbard dragon, we can slay the Governor Bentley dragon, but the Bob Riley dragon is still alive and well in Kay Ivey's administration, and it's becoming more and more apparent that his tentacles are not out of Montgomery, and I don't know how far they reach, but we've got to find the bottom of it.
I mean, Susan, it's surprising that Kay Ivey appointed
Brian
Taylor.
Which was kind of crazy. But then she goes out and Hal Taylor, that's a Riley man. Then this Ken Boswell
That was
guy.
a big one.
But this is new. She appoints this Ken Boswell. Tell us a little bit about
Boswell, of course, is the mayor of Enterprise, or was the mayor of Enterprise before he was selected for ADECA. He was also the mayor that helped Mike Hubbard get the Southeastern Alabama Gas District contract over there, which was the only one of those contracts that Hubbard was not convicted on because he got an informal letter from the Ethics Commission. So this guy's, he's got a little dirt on his face coming in here. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do with ADECA, but it's concerning of all of these people, and almost immediately with these people, with Brian Taylor in place, also they got the Airbus contract like that. So that's it's beginning to smell to everybody like, we've still got Riley here. He's still here.
Yeah, it's a $6.5 million that's going down there for everybody. But Jack, Hal Taylor was involved in the Hubbard case. He kind of misled Spencer Collier. And then this Ken Bob, why is she alienating the Attorney General's office?
I don't know. And we don't really know what Boswell's role was in the Hubbard trial. I do believe he was questioned by the grand jury, but he didn't testify in the trial, which would lead you to believe that he really wasn't going to be a good witness for the prosecution, because maybe he aided and abetted Mike in getting that contract.
Well, and Greg Wren didn't plead either because they weren't sure what he'd say. Like some of those guys that got up on the stand and their testimony changed at the last minute.
Yes.
I just think it's odd that she would bring these folks in. I mean, Jack, Will Sellers. Will Sellers has been her chief advisor.
I mean,
decades.
I've known Will Sellers literally when he was his mother's womb, because his sister's a classmate and a dear friend. And I like Will a lot, and I think he's smart. But you would think with Kay coming in, I mean, it was totally unexpected. Nobody anticipated this 6 months ago. I would come in and I would bring in all new people. I would wipe the slate clean so that there's no doubt in anyone's mind, except this is going to be an honest, open, and transparent administration.
And I think that's exactly what we all expected, Jack, was exactly what you just said, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and Beth, we know from rumor at least, Will Sellers is up for a federal judgeship here to replace Myron Thompson. And so, and all of a sudden, all these Bob Riley tentacles, are we going to have Bob Riley in the federal system now? Is this?
I sure hope not. I mean, but the thing is, there is no shortage of talent, even on the right, of people who are capable of coming in and doing these jobs and doing them well. I mean, there's no reason why we have to keep recycling the same Bob Riley people, giving him the same authority. I mean, look at what, I fully believe that he is responsible for everything that happened to Mike Hubbard. He pushed him right down that path, and Hubbard just bought it hook, line, and sinker. And if we're going to keep letting Bob Riley into our government, then we are going to keep letting our government be corrupt like this, and we cannot handle it at the federal level.
Well, it's astonishing to us because we had hoped to be able to support the Kay Ivey administration, but so far, John Merrill said he wasn't running for governor, Jack, because we already had a great one or strong one.
Let's give that a few
John
months.
said that?
John said that.
About
Kay Ivey.
Kay? Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I
heard
bet my
that.
pinky toe he ends up running.
Well, I don't think Kay Ivey makes it to another. She doesn't run. I don't think she runs.
Well, I don't know.
I don't think she runs.
Well, when you get bit with the bug, it's hard to,
Yeah, well, that bug
put an
bites.
ointment on it to.
Well, she's
Take that urge away.
making a lot of enemies. I tell you what, somebody that was trying to make a lot of enemies this week was Trip Pittman when he tried to hold up the autism bill to help parents with autistic children, get them the help and training they need. Susan, this guy looked worse than than Ebenezer Scrooge ever looked.
It was terrible. The committee meeting that took place on Wednesday was just awful. All of the senators on that committee seemed to be at each other's throats. Tripp Pittman was leading the cause. He was, plus let's not forget, this autism bill sat in the Senate basket for over a week before it ever got brought to the attention, that it needed to be in committee. And I think Josh Moon's the one who got it there.
Yeah, I think Josh
But then
Moon
even
did.
after the committee meeting was over, that evening, Tripp Pittman held that bill hostage all evening, trying to get some negotiations on that bill, saying that even though it passed 12-2, and he and Sanford were the ones that voted against it, even though it had passed, he was going to refuse to sign it until it really caught a firestorm that night, and he finally signed it Thursday
And we only
morning.
got about 30 seconds, but Beth, this is nothing more than Pittman carrying the water for Blue Cross Blue Shield.
It is, and this is an indefensible position because all this does is make it where insurance companies have to cover autism treatment for people who need those services. I mean, it's $4 a month on everybody's premiums. We can swing it for the families who need it. Anybody who's dealt with a child with autism knows this is essential for their well-being and for the whole family's well-being. It's indefensible.
Well, we've got to sit down and get the actual votes in committee and all that stuff, because some of them voted again for everything that would kill it and then voted for it at the final. We're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V. If you'd like to watch more of our news and commentary, there is a special segment that comes on the web only. So you can go to alreporter.com, click on The V, and watch the afterburner, as we call it. Right now, coming up, Speaker of the House, Mac McCutcheon. Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We're here today once again with the Speaker of the House, Mac McCutcheon.
Bill,
Speaker?
welcome to the People's House. Good to have you back.
Love to hear that. It has more and more over this session been a testament to your leadership that it is the Speaker's House. I know some days it's been harder than others, and there's been some challenges. We're winding up. We're getting down toward the end.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about what you're looking at, what we're looking forward to next week, and
Well, we'll be addressing the budgets. We've got the general fund budget that's going to be coming down from the Senate. We've got the education budget that's already come down from the Senate. We're trying to get those budgets in position where we can get them on the floor and address them. I feel like that we'll be in a good position to move the general fund budget. Probably we'll move it out quicker from the House to send it to the governor than we will the education budget. I think there's a couple of little issues there that we'll need a conference committee to work on the education budget. But other than that, the budgets will get out. We've got the redistricting bill. The Senate has passed theirs. We're in the process of working through ours now. Next week we should have that out and sent up to the Senate, vice versa, the Senate and the House, and we'll address those.
And getting this done is not only critical for the 2018 election. It's very critical because we have a senatorial election coming up. It has to do with that? Is that correct?
Well, the court orders given to us did not reference the Senate,
Did not, okay.
but our legislative districts and House districts, of course, will have an effect on where people vote and the district lines. So sure, there'll be a spin-off effect that will come from that, of course.
Well, I just thought that, these candidates are probably a little concerned that they don't want to hold an election that somebody can go, oh, do-over.
That's right. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Challenge
Good
in
point.
court.
Yeah.
The budgets are always a contentious issue until they're settled. These have gone relatively well, I think. Some of the bigger things that have been contentious and still are the prison
Yes.
bill.
Yes, we of course, we're in court now over that. We should be hearing a court ruling on that case anytime. The Senate has passed the bill. We're working on the Senate version of the bill. The governor is supportive of the prison bill, and she would like to see us pass something during this session. The House has a substitute for the Senate bill, and we had mentioned before in your program about the fact that the difference in the Senate version and the House version is that we are going to have the opportunity to build 3 men's facilities. Right. And the bonding and the infrastructure and the actual property and location of these prisons will be in counties and cities that want to come together and furnish the infrastructure for the facility. The Department of Corrections will oversee that and then lease that property from the local entity for so many years, and what that does, it cuts down on the indebtedness of the state to have to borrow so much money in their bonds. By doing that, it guarantees that local community some income. It's an economic boost for them and a growth for them, and it also helps the state on their indebtedness on the bond. Then the other aspect of the bill that was not in the Senate bill was the building of a new women's facility.
Right.
And we've talked about that. And so there's some changes there in the substitute, but I think we're about ready to put a product before the committee, hopefully get it out of committee, and within a few days we're going to be voting on it in the House.
It looks, by all accounts, that any hope of passing a fuel tax, a gas tax to support infrastructure is dead for this session. I know I was on the radio station down in Mobile last week, and I said, well, anybody that drives the state all the time, especially country roads, knows that a lot of them, they look like they've been bombed out.
Yeah.
And I guess my thinking is, how do we continue economic growth without the infrastructure to support it?
Personally, of course, I'm pretty passionate about this issue. We can't continue our economic growth in Alabama because we can't compete. If we can't move commerce up and down our highways, product in, product out, we're not going to be able to compete for economic jobs and growth. And another issue that I think is important is that we need to be thinking about the school bus drivers,
right,
the emergency response people, the bridges that are restricted, all of these moving farm products up and down the road, the paper industry, the logging industry, all of these things are important to the state of Alabama.
And the thing about a fuel tax is the only people that pay it are the people who use the roads.
It's a user fee, really, when you look at it. But I would hope, Bill, that even though we're not going to see a gas tax during this session, I would hope that we continue the discussion, and according to Washington, D.C., we keep getting bits and pieces of information from Washington that they are going to come out with an infrastructure plan, a national plan. And Alabama could stand to lose millions of dollars because we do not have the money put back to make some of the matches that we're going to be able to make. And we very well could be in trouble.
Overall, on this year's session, I know I think next week's going to be a marathon. What do you feel is the most significant thing that you've been able to accomplish?
I think we have passed some good pieces of legislation dealing with some economic growth issues. We have listened to the people of Alabama on certain issues like the autism issue that we've had. We did not yield to big business, big industry and their interest. We really listened to the people and we responded to the people. Out of the House, we passed that autism bill, which ultimately is good for families and children, which helps us on, it's a proactive type approach.
Right.
Because if we don't try to help and treat some of these kids and these children growing up, we're going to have to spend money either in the school system or possibly in the mental health system or possibly even in the prison system. And so we're trying to be proactive and help our society be better. So I'm really thankful. And then, of course, we've worked hard to have 2 good budgets. The education budget is better than it's been in several years. We've saved some money. We're not just borrowing everything that we're working on. The general fund budget, we're actually going to have a carryover in the general fund to help us offset the deficit next year. Well, that's proactive.
Right.
We're not just spending every dollar and then next year trying to be head over heels in debt. And so it's little things like that that has really made this session successful.
Well, they're telling me that I don't have any more time, but since I run the show, I'm going to take a little more time.
Okay.
I heard the other night that and it was getting kind of rowdy in here, and I love this. You said, "Now settle down, everybody." Did you learn that from somebody?
Well, I think just living life. But my wife listens sometimes, and she'll send me a text, and she'll say, "Well, everybody's listening," and everybody gets passionate. I love this body. Yeah. I do. I love the members in this body. They're good people and they work hard. But everybody gets passionate and they get excited, and sometimes you just have to calm everybody down and tell them to go back to their seats, turn their lights on, and then we'll debate the issues.
Yeah.
So, but people do they laugh at me sometimes with some of my statements.
No, it's good. I tell you, they settled down.
Oh, they thank goodness they responded to me. So I'm very appreciative of that.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we appreciate your leadership.
Good to be with you.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
We want to thank Speaker Mac McCutcheon for joining us each week. We also want to let you know that you can watch more of The V, an extended version, on the web only at alreporter.com. Thank you for watching The V. You watch us because we watch them. Welcome back to The V, the Afterburner, sponsored by Black Flag, because when we show up, roaches scurry around. Beth, this autism bill, I mean, it's just one of those things. And I'm afraid I have to say this. One of the things that our conservative friends have failed to realize is that people want to see some compassion. Mm-hmm. I mean, you really see that on a national level. We need to see more of that here. I think this bill is one of those where Republicans are showing compassion.
Right, and autism is one of those things. It affects, I think 1 in 6, 1 in 9 is the new stat about children. I mean, it's skyrocketing. And when you look at it, this is something no family can prevent. It can happen to any of us. And they've shown that when a child is diagnosed early and they're put into the proper therapies, they can actually show tremendous improvements, and they can go on to do things that a previous diagnosis would not have foreseen. So when you look at insurance and being able to make that the limit between what a family can afford and what they can't, you're talking about a family with the resources to give their children a head start versus a family of limited means saying, I'm sorry, your child is destined to be a diagnosis. And that's just not right.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I mean, Susan, anybody that voted against that bill is in real trouble, I would think.
You know, I would think so. I would hope so. Now, Senator Ward has been a staunch advocate of the autism bills all along since we've been around. He has a daughter, Riley. If you see Riley now, she's had these therapies, she's had these treatments. This is a bright, moving forward young lady who has, you know, really overcome a lot. And it stands to show how this can really help. And not just in one family, but in multiple families.
Jack?
Well, we're waiting and staring down the barrel of a gun.
Yeah.
Because the Blue Cross lobby got to the members of the legislature and persuaded them to be not too warm to the idea of having autism coverage. And then all of a sudden, at the end, when they know the clock is ticking on this issue, they try to come riding in on a white horse like, oh, well, we will cover and all. That's just manure.
It is. And I believe there were 8 amendments on Wednesday that they tried to get tacked on, and Ward accused Pittman of Blue Cross Blue Shield's actually writing those amendments.
Well, and there's no, I mean, who would doubt it? And, you know, it's people, and the crazy thing is like Tom Albritton from down in the...
Not Tom,
but
Greg
Albritton, Senator Greg Albritton, he voted for every bill killing amendment, and then at the final vote went, oh yeah, I'm for it, but voted for every amendment. Yeah, this is kind of...
Well, they know it's going to bite them in the butt in their next election.
Well, coming out of the House, the vote was 100 yeas and 3 abstains. I mean, that was pretty strong, and people don't want to be seen as voting no here.
Right.
Yeah. And looking at these amendments, though, I'm sorry, there's one that excludes Medicaid from having to do this, and there's one that makes it where, you know, large corporations provide coverage, but not small companies. And I'm sorry, like, a child is a child, and a life is a life, and a future is a future, and it doesn't matter where the parents work or how much money they have. If this is a pro-life government like they claim to be, they need to start acting like it across the hall.
Beth, we're going to be all tarred with liberal sympathies because we care about children.
Oh, how dare
It'd
we?
be awful.
They also, one of the amendments cut the children off at 16. How is it that our legislature knows when it is time to stop giving therapy to a child? How is that?
Because they know when to stop giving us votes, like on gaming, right, Jack?
Yeah, they're not too happy with the idea of giving the people the right to vote on.
It seems like they think they know a little bit more about our lives than we do.
Well, it should be medically driven, not some arbitrary age of a child, because every case is individual.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and the thing is that we continue to pass legislation based on what somebody outside of the state has written. I mean, look, it's a conservative state, but we're not like Virginia. We're not like Detroit. I mean, we're not like Michigan. We're not like these. We're different. Alabama. We need our own homegrown legislation that fits our folks and their values.
Let me point out something, because I think our viewers are going to want to know this, because they're going to want to call their legislators. This is not scheduled to be back in committee until Wednesday. Now, understand, next week we have 4 legislative days: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. If they do not strip these 2 amendments off on the Senate floor, it has to go back to the House to either be concurred with or go to joint committee, joint House and Senate committee. So we're burning time here. And also then it still has to go to the governor to sign. If they're going to get it done, they better
What if
get
she
busy.
sits on it and doesn't sign it? Does it die?
It dies.
Veto.
They're
The
not
pocket
leaving.
veto.
They're not leaving any room to come back for a pocket veto because they're just burnt out.
We don't know what her pulse on this is, though, do we?
No, we don't.
Okay.
And we don't know what her pulse is on anything. I mean, we really don't.
I didn't see her signing that adoption bill. I thought that she would have a little bit of heart just from her upbringing and where she comes from. That's something that she wouldn't have signed. And so there's no telling what she's going to do, because it's what Bob Riley tells her to do.
Well, it certainly seems like that this, I like to call it the Riley Third Reich. But you never want to bring up Nazis to lose the discussion that way. I tell you something we found interesting. Over the last several years, we've pointed out just a few problems with Medicaid, and especially with this group called the Office of Information Technologies, started under Robert Bentley and then being championed by my favorite senator, Senator Phil Williams, commonly known as Niedermeyer.
Yes.
And what this does, they're now going to fund this crazy thing with hundreds of millions of dollars, which they've lost hundreds of millions of dollars. In one case, STARS was one. Another one is CARES, and CARES is a program that we reported on for the last couple of years that hasn't worked since 2013. And it's cost almost it's cost $50 million so far. And recently, Josh Moon reported that they bought $500,000 worth of furniture for this CARES program that doesn't work. Susan?
Well, to begin with, they did just like they did STARS. They bought an off-the-shelf product, tried to retrofit it to their needs, hired a whole staff, I guess who needed very elegant, surroundings to be able to work in. But remember, we're talking about Medicaid here. Medicaid's already strapped for dollars. Why in the world are they buying $500,000 worth of furniture? Get a laptop. You have a lap. That's why it's called a laptop.
You can get fold-out tables for $60 at Walmart.
There you go.
Maybe they should change the name of it to chairs as well.
Why are we surprised that a program designed to hook people up to government benefits designed by the Republicans isn't working? Why does that surprise anybody?
Because there was Obamacare. It didn't work so hot either.
Finance bought the cell phones that sat in the box. How many million?
That was they bought.
And I do have to give the out to the gentleman. His name escapes me right now. That is running this program right now. When he got there, he was floored. He was outraged.
That's what we hear. Marty Redden, and supposedly Marty Redden wanted to sell these things and recoup some of the money, but we talked to Medicaid, or Josh did, and they said no, we're just going to repurpose it. Now the funny thing is, CARES is a program that's supposed to assist signing up for Medicaid, CHIPS, all the stuff, all the benefits. Well, Medicaid just finally got so fed up with it, they went, we're out, baby. Maybe it was the $500,000 worth of furniture. Was it gold leaf, Jack?
Hell, I don't know.
You can buy some real fancy stuff.
It reminds me of Mike
Josh is on the set. Josh, can you come over here and tell us?
It reminds me of Mike Hubbard's, was it Smoking
they
Room?
bought? No, what is it? What is it? Do you know?
Come on and tell us.
Come on, if you wanted to. Come on.
You're not
They love
here.
you.
Well, get him in somebody's mic.
Afterburner
Here, he
has
can
no
use my
rules.
mic.
Come on,
You can
Josh.
use my mic. Come
Come
on.
on.
down.
Oh, look at that grin.
Ladies
Look
and
at him
gentlemen,
go.
straight from the back of the short bus.
How y'all doing?
So tell us a little bit more about this deal here.
What are we talking about?
Furniture.
CARES.
CARES. Oh, the chairs program that
Yeah,
they have. It's I don't know what they've done with the furniture. I assume it's all still there.
But it's like real fancy ergonomically.
Some of it is, yeah. They have. They spent the telling part of it was like, if you look at the numbers of what they spent in 2012, 2013, 2014 versus what they spent in 2015. All those years was $25,000 to $30,000 on furniture and supplies for the office. That year it was $450,000. So
that's a lot of steel case.
Yeah,
desk.
Just for that 1 year, and then it carried over into the next year, and they had over $500,000 worth of furniture all told just for that. And I know they were trying to sell it, but I don't know.
Any gold toilet seats or anything like that?
Look like Trump Tower
I think
in
the
there.
Trumps have most of those.
They've cornered the market on it. Yes.
I don't think they have those. The ours are platinum.
Platinum.
They're straight platinum.
A little warmer,
We're
I
fancy.
guess.
We're fancy. Yeah.
And of course, Joanne Hale, the director, she probably needs a very high stool for herself.
Ooh.
Harsh, man.
Is that funny? That's not funny, is it?
Is she a big old tall drink of water?
She is. If you put some breastplates on her and gave her a sword, she could clear the State House, baby.
Wow.
Yeah. What? Is that funny? She's fierce.
There's a Game of Thrones reference in there, probably.
There is.
No, that's Nancy Worley's outfit. Stuck on the Game of Thrones.
Well, thanks, Josh.
I like the guest spot.
Right there.
I like the guest spot.
The whole thing has just gone right in the toilet.
You know what's so sad is that our viewers think that we never report any good news, but we haven't found any in the 3 years I've been on this show.
No, I did. There was some good news, maybe. You covered this, the fantasy sports thing. We heard that legislators are carrying around your article going, fantasy sports, baby.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'll be so happy when I can go back to my phone and my FanDuel app and just start playing. And I don't understand why they took it away from me. I've been so lost.
Well, they don't want you to gamble. See, they think they know better than allow you to gamble
It's not
on your.
gambling. If you see some of the lineups these other idiots pick, it's not really gambling.
I don't know. I had Kaepernick as my quarterback one year, and I think that was the biggest gamble ever.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can make some mistakes if you don't know what you're doing, but if it's the same as playing the stock market, really. I mean, you get your data, you go through the stuff, you pick out the best lineup, and it's really no different. I mean, I don't lose money playing.
Yeah, well, it's not like where you put a dollar bill in and you pull a thing and hope.
Yeah, no. There's actually some skill involved, and if you're going to legalize horse racing, dog racing, that sort of thing, then there's no argument.
Yeah, well, the skill in horse racing is knowing which jockey is going to be riding the horse that's going to win.
And which one of them? Yeah, which one of them has been coked up before the race?
Right.
And it's.
Hey, well, speaking of gambling, our Republican state chairperson, Terry Lathan, anti-gambling spokesman, manages every year to get up to the Kentucky Derby. I think she just goes to show off a hat. She doesn't
Just
gamble.
the mint juleps.
No, it's
is
just
the
the
only
juleps,
reason.
That's what it is.
Well, she took great offense to that being reported that she was at the Kentucky Derby.
Well, then stop putting damn pictures on Facebook. I'm sorry.
I don't know if you know how this works.
That doesn't help your little secret there, Terry.
We can all see that when you do that.
Well, she has told me she was not gambling. She just maybe a mint julep or two. I don't know.
Was the governor with her?
Huh?
Was the governor with her?
Which one?
The one that likes the drinks.
We
got one freshly out of jail. We got one.
Yeah, so
living
we got too many governors.
Two freshly out of jail.
Yeah. Anyway, I think on that note, Black Flag says, when we turn on the lights, ain't no telling what's going to happen. Anyway, you've been watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics, the afterburner.
Well, you never know what's going to happen.
Not yet. No. Okay, bye.